Hello students, welcome to your part 2 of the explanation of our Changing Earth chapter. Now we are studying about the changes in the landforms. How do the changes take place? Some changes take place instantly, but some changes take place within hundreds of years. Children, our earth has different layers, and these layers we can give them a term as tectonic plates. These tectonic plates are moving every time. Some we don't even exactly feel that they are moving. Now these tectonic plates hit against each other and they are pressing each other, due to which the mountains have been formed. Very interesting point over here is that the height of Himalayas is still increasing, and that is exactly due to the pressure from the tectonic plates. So that was the endogenic forces, and the other forces are exogenic forces. Genic means the origin. If the force has got generated from inside the earth, these are endogenic forces, while if the force or the disturbance has been caused on the surface of the earth, it is called exogenic forces. Some forces are sudden while some are diastrophic. Now in the exogenic forces, it is caused due to the erosional or deposition of, you can say, silt, and these are caused due to the river, wind, sea waves and glaciers. Because of the bad weather, the sand gets eroded out and it lands somewhere, so that is called deposition. Now earthquakes and volcanoes cause destruction, most, you can say, massive destruction over the surface of the earth. Now if moving on, if we are to study the structure of a volcano, what is a volcano? We all know that the interior or the core of the earth is filled with molten magma. When the heat goes to an extreme level, it looks out for a little opening on the earth. The opening through which the lava comes out, that is called the vent. And the material, the gases and ashes flow out of it, that is called the crater. There are different types of volcanoes. Some volcanoes are active volcanoes, some are, you can say, they erupt only at certain time, while some volcanoes have not erupted since many centuries. Now similarly, when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates. One simple example can be given over here. If we take a container, fill it with water and close it with a lid, make the water to boil. Now put some peas or spoon on the top of the lid. What do you notice? As the water boils, the lid begins to shake, and the things that you have put on the lid also vibrate, and maybe the things will fall down. Exactly in the same way, when the tectonic plates or lithospheric plates move inside the earth, the whole earth vibrates. Because of the vibrations, the earthquakes take place. The center point from where the earthquake starts is called the focus, and above the focus, the place on the surface is called the epicenter. There are some scientific terms related to earthquakes like seismic waves, which could be termed into P waves, S waves, L waves, and we can say the damage, that the greatest damage is usually closest to the epicenter, and it is the strength of the earthquake decreases away from the center. The level of the earthquake is studied on the Richter scale. The earthquakes cannot be predicted, however the impact can certainly be minimized if we are prepared beforehand. Then children, in the book they have given you 3 ways in which you can protect yourself. First is always try to stand at a safe corner if you are struck in an earthquake. Then stay away from the fireplaces, areas around the chimneys and windows. And the third is always keep yourself aware or by spreading awareness among the friends and the family members and face any disaster confidently. There is one case study given over here about the earthquake that had hit Bhuj area. Moving on, the landscape is continuously worn away by two processes, weathering and erosion. By weathering, we mean the breaking up of the rocks on the earth's surface, and erosion means weathering away of the landscape by different agents like water, wind and ice. The running water in the river erodes the landscape. When the river tumbles at steep angle over very hard rocks or down the steep valley, it forms a waterfall. Now, as the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as meanders. Now, due to the continuous erosion and deposition along the sides of the meander, the ends of the meander loop come closer and closer. In due course of time, the meander loop cuts off from the main river and forms the cut-off lakes, also called the oxbow lakes. Then, as the river flows and approaches the sea, the speed of the flowing water decreases and the river begins to break up into number of streams called the distributaries. The river becomes so slow that it begins to deposit its load. Each distributary forms its own mouth. The collection of the sediments from all the mouths forms a delta. The erosion and the deposition of the sea waves gives rise to coastal landforms. The cracks develop over the time, they become larger and wider. Thus, hollow like caves are formed on the rocks. They are called the sea caves. The glaciers are rivers of ice which too erode the landscape. The materials carried by the glaciers such as rocks, big and small, sand and silt gets deposited. These deposits form glacial moraines. Now, an active agent of erosion and deposition in the deserts is wind. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another. When it stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited in low hills like structures. They are called the sand dunes. So children, this was the lesson, a changing earth. And these changes will continue over the time and new structures and formations will take place. That's all. Thank you. Have a nice day.